one of my favourites.
Yes, yes. Today's, let's see, just Om Ganati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakayo Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. As well as being, of course, Nanda Mahotsav, the festival of Nanda Maharaj, for Krishna's appearance, and then today is also the appearance, right? Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupad, yeah, whose glories cannot be spoken in thousands, millions of lifetimes, even by Ananta Shesh with his thousands of mouths. Himself being the very reason why we are here, sitting here, and able to exchange with you something about the Krishna consciousness. And that bhajan or poem by Rupa Goswami, he's also said something here about Sri Brihad Bhagavatamritam we were reading yesterday. So we're just going to continue a little bit with that, not from where we were reading, just some other part. And it's a very important book, as I mentioned, because not just the fact that it expands on the pastimes of Krishna that we hear in the Bhagavatam, and also explaining things from different angles, but also the process of devotional service, as been described through selection and elimination. And we were talking about it last time. Accepting something higher, eliminating something lower, quote unquote, higher, lower, in the line of progress. And that process is described very graphically in Brihad Bhagavatamritam, Gopa Kumar's journey, as you know, which is which mentioned in the which has been summarised in Search for Sri Krishna, Reality the Beautiful by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And just very briefly, he's given there in one of the chapters. I think it's called. It might be called The Process of Devotional Service or something like that. But so then Gopa Kumar, you know how he meets the Brahmin in South India, who's engaged in his activities, and he praises him as a very great devotee of the Lord. And the Brahmin says, "No, I'm not doing anything. This is nothing. If you want to see who's the devotee, go to the king. Forget his name, but the king, and he's engaging everything in his kingdom in the service of the Lord, and very, very devoted and pious person." And Gopa Kumar goes to him and says, "Oh, you must be the greatest devotee of the Lord." And the king says, No, I'm not doing anything. Actually, really you want to see who's devotee, you have to go to Indra, Lord Indra. He's the king of heaven, and he is really a devotee. So then he goes up to the heavenly planets. So that's the second part of the book. The first part's called Bhumi, the earthly plane, and then Divyam, he goes up to the heavenly worlds. And first he goes to Indra, and he praises Indra so much, and Indra says, No, you don't understand. I was very offensive against the Lord. And he's giving many examples. You know, how he tried to stop the Govardhan puja, and tried to destroy Vrindavan and all the residents. And then he realised his mistake and so forth. And many other examples, and his behaviour, different sort of appalling behaviour with, wives of the different sages, and so many things he did in his career. But he said, Krishna was merciful to me, and he does visit me sometimes. Indra and Upendra, it's one of the names of the Lord, Upendra, which is Vamanadev, right? The dwarf Brahmana. Sometimes he comes to visit Indra, and Indra says, that's his mercy. It's not because of any quality or qualifications I may have, but just by his mercy. But if you want to see really who's devotee, then now you have to go to Brahma, Lord Brahma. He's the first created being, and he's really a devotee. So he goes there, And coming from a distance, Gopa Kumar hears so much Vedic hymns, being chanted and kirtan, and this huge sound, comes in his ears. Wow, what is this? Then he goes to the Brahmalok and he comes before Lord Brahma, praising him so much. It's a great devotee. And then Lord Brahma himself declines to accept that kind of eulogy. He says, no, actually Krishna was merciful to me. He spoke to me the Vedas and like that, and I tried to disseminate that to others. But really I'm so much engaged in this administrative affairs of the universal affairs. I have no time to engage in my spiritual practice. It's very hard, and he gives different examples of how he made various offences against the Lord, like trying to steal the cows and calves, not being the least of them, of course. That was... And then he says, but if you want to see who's a devotee, go to Shiva. He's the man. He's really devotee. So then he goes to Lord Shiva, and he's praising him so much for his devotion. And actually, initially, Lord Shiva, because his nature is ashutosh. He can be easily moved, to anger or to giving blessings, and he became a little bit excited, a little bit angry. Don't stop saying like that. I don't really have any devotion. I'm into meditation. That's my thing. Yes, I do chant the name of the Lord. He's chanting Ram Ram. You see the mala. Ram means Sankarshan, form of the Lord. Sankarshan or Baladev, Ram, and but you want to know what is devotion, you should go to Hanumanji. So in this way we're told that Brahma, he represents karma mishra bhakti, his devotion there but mixed with karma, fruit of result, and then Shiva, jnana mishra, is bhakti. But this is from one particular angle or aspect. From another view we say Vaishnavan Yata Shambhu, he's the greatest devotee, because you have Shiva and Sadashiva, two aspects. So we'll be coming to that in a moment. So then he goes to Hanuman, and Hanuman, this is Dasya Rasa, his complete devotion to his Lord Ram, and he praises Hanuman so much. And Hanuman's worshipping a deity of Lord Ram that's in his plane. He's worshipping the deity, and Lord Ram has gone back to Ayodhya. In his absence, in separation, he's worshipping the deity, and he's discussing much with Gopa Kumar, and then it goes on, it continues, and Prahlad goes. So there's a sequence of this development, and like many years ago, I asked Srila Maharaj once, what's the what are the stages of devotional service? I mean, nowadays it sounds like a very sort of basic question. But at that time I was quite new, and he said, you have to read the Brihad Bhagavatamritam. He wrote it to me in a letter, actually, and that will show everything, explain everything. So, and here Rupa Goswami says, our divine master, referring to Srila Sanatana Goswami, his elder brother and guru, has revealed in his Bhagavatamrita all the sweet conclusions of devotional philosophy, including its most confidential secrets. That's from Rupa Goswami. And today, Srila Prabhupada's appearance, this is a quotation from him, Swami Maharaj. Anyone who wants to know about the subject matter of devotees, devotional service and Krishna must read this book. So,
but isn't it also pretty advanced?
Pardon?
We have Bhagavatam.
Not necessarily. No, it's not. It's not. It's not considered a confidential Shastra, like some of them, there was a great caution about touching into them, like Ujjvala Nilamani, Radha Rasa Shuddhanidhi, and other scriptures by the Goswamis. And no, it's you can read the Bhagavatam very nicely, but that's why it's good to have the commentary as we have here, because explaining it at certain points. So,
did you meet Swami Maharaj? Did you meet Swami?
No, I never did meet him. No, actually, when I joined, he had actually just left the planet. In fact, so I missed him by literally 2 weeks. I joined 14th of November 1977. 22nd of November he passed, but I didn't know that. That was all in India, of course, and I joined in London. So I didn't realise for quite a few months really that he'd left. You know, I just thought, oh, he's the guru. You've seen his picture and everything, and he's, you know, and eventually I might get the chance to meet him. And then it sort of gradually, oh no, he's no longer present physically. So that was, but you did. So, Anjali, you met Swami?
I did. I had, I did. Great.
Where was that then? In London.
I heard he was. I didn't know. I had a friend who went to India at Oxford, and he wrote and told me that Prabhupada was coming to England.
Right.
So I was very excited. I was going bananas trying to get eventually. It was Mukunda, myself, and my first husband together.
Yeah.
We went to London, and then, sure enough, we went to the manor, and it was absolutely packed, solid, jam-packed.
Of course.
And I went in, and thinking, where? It seemed as though the meeting had happened.
Wow.
It was all the saffron, all the brahmacharis were streaming down the big wooden staircase. And Prabhupada, of course, they'd all come, obviously, from having darshan with Prabhupada. And I think, oh my God, I'm late. And I thought, well, I'm not going to let this stop me. And I pushed my way through all the saffron and got to the top, and then which way to go? Right. So I went right to the end, and there was Prabhupada on his own in the room. There was a brahmachari or something standing there.
In the manor?
In the manor, in his room at the end, at the top. Yeah. And I found it. I just blew up the stairs, through everybody, and then emptied, and I tried that way, went to the right. And there he was, sitting in all his glory, very sweetly. And I bought some peaches, and I had them in a brown carrier bag, and it was very unceremonial. It was like, you know. So I paid my dandavats at the door, you know, and I was like in total awe about with him. And I paid my dandavats, and I looked up, and he saw me pathetically standing there with me peaches. So anyway, very not grand at all, very simple. And then he said, come forward. So I was, of course, speechless. I didn't speak. He called me forward. I immediately paid my dandavats. And like he was a murti or a deity, I gave my peaches like that, you know. I didn't say, would you like these, or here's some. I didn't say a word. It was just an offering, you know, like a very humble offering to this glorious personality. And he took them I was sweet. Eventually I came out of my trance and got up and left. And then in those days you would just go and find a place to sleep, isn't it, in the mana? You know, you didn't necessarily have a room or an appointment or a place to stay. And so you found a place, and you lay on the wood, and you had your hand underneath, when my shoulder was actually working, and you sleep, and if you had a blanket, you had a blanket, or if you didn't. So anyway, in the morning, I just got up, and then one of the deities, which it was so sweet, came up to me, and she said, oh, wasn't it you who did you give Maharaj? Yes, I said, yes, I gave him some peaches. And she said, well, he asked for those peaches for his breakfast this morning. Oh, wow. And I was in my second swoon then. I was gone again. So I was completely gone. And the second day in the garden, he was giving darshan, sitting outside. It was a lovely summer's day, and the devotees all around, and he was sitting raised high, I don't know, so we could see. And I was standing there with my first husband and my second husband. First, Mukunda and my first husband. And anyway, we were listening, and my first husband obviously went off, and Mukunda and I, and he thought we were a couple, which of course we became eventually. And it was very, very sweet and a wonderful memory, and I feel extremely fortunate to have had that, because he was, well, are there words to describe Srila Prabhupada? I don't know. He was glorious in every way. He was everything. And he came and look what he's done for us, And then, of course, his whole sort of family and all his associates were the top sadhus, the best, the sweetest sadhus, which, of course, he was associating with Guru Maharaj, isn't it, very strongly. In fact, I think Guru Maharaj was encouraging to come to get preach over here, isn't it? Or the West, the whole West. And of course, Gurudev, who was a very close servant from very early on with Gurudev. So we have all of them, by the grace, but it all started by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. And everybody loves him and always will honor him and be happy that we had this opportunity. Yeah, extraordinary. I'm old. I'm older than anybody here, so that's why I'm older than you. So I had.
1975.
Pardon?
Was that about 1975? Was it?
This was in 73 or 74 in London. I'm not sure which, 73 or 74.
I think you spent about quite a long time, 6 months at the Manor.
And then, not long after that, it took me about till 1970. I was still looking to find him, and of course I had to get my act together and get everything sorted to go. It took me 4 hours. And then, 4 hours, 4 years. And then 77 was arriving, and I hadn't heard that he'd left, And so I went. My first husband was also with me. So we went, and many things happened en route, like, I won't go into that. They're good stories, but it's nothing to do with it. And then we got to Mayapur. Of course, everyone is in Vrindavan. Everyone's running around like headless chickens, what to do. Prabhupada's gone, everyone. So I went across the water. I said, we'll go to Navadvip Dham, which is Aparad Banjan part. And I thought, there must go some purification by the grace. And we go to Navadvip, and we stayed one night in the hotel, on the front, those green, it used to be green. And it was just a board, it was a couple of boards in rooms. And shall I finish the story?
Yeah, I was going to say, the reason why you went to Navadvip, and then you met Guru Maharaj.
The reason I went to Navadvip,
you heard it was like a special place to go.
Yeah, very special.
Wasn't it you were going to see Srila Maharaj?
I didn't know at the time. I just went Aparad Banjan Part, the holy Dham. Right. And I wanted to walk there and see what would come there, And then I was standing the following morning on the steps, and wondering, this is the holy Dham, and all I could hear was the honk of the rickshaw drivers and the baka of all the people talking, right down by the ghat. Yeah. And I was thinking, where, how will I find the holy Dham? Where am I? And as I was thinking this, there was Damodara Maharaj from Bhaktivedanta's mat at the end of Mayapur, came slowly down the path, and I was looking and I was focusing, and it was quite peaceful, that path there, and it was unbuilt, not built up. Yeah. And he was coming slowly. And then our eyes met, and he came up to me and he said, what are you doing here? And I said, Maharaj, I just want to spend 3 days and 3 nights in the Holy Dham. Because I'd heard that was a pucka number to stay. And he said, well, you can't stay here. Get your bags. And so I went and got my bags, and my husband, who was upstairs at the time, and I think we must have gone in a rickshaw, but we went then all the way to our Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. And we got out of the rickshaw, and Nitai, who is now, what's the name of the Saraswati, the sannyasi who's in charge there at the minute, you know, he used to be Nimai. He was a chela. He was one of Gurudev's chela anyway. And so he took us up to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, up the stairs, you know, and we came to this room, and there was Guru Maharaj, you know. And of course, same thing, I fell on my knees and was looking at this extraordinary holy man, you know. I didn't know who he was, I hadn't got a clue, I didn't know his name, I knew nothing. And he kept, sit down, so I sat down. And I had quite a lot of kind of strange events happened on the way to his lotus feet, which I can't believe my fortune. I mean, I could have died, but I didn't. I was, anyway, another story. I fell down that well, 40-meter well, wow. And because I thought we were going to Vrindavan, and I thought, actually, you know, on the way down, you know, putting with my hands out, and man's caught, catch some ropes. I was thinking, maybe, well, what I thought was stupid. I thought Radharani don't want us to go to Vrindavan. Because that's all I knew, you know. That's all I knew. I didn't know, you know, anything more than that. And so, so on the way down, I said, we're going to change our tickets. We change our tickets. And if I get out of here alive, we're going to Navadvip Dham, you know.
Wow.
So as it happens, I touched, no, the ropes gave out, and I went, on my own, without the assistance of the ropes, down to the ground. And there was a pole up the middle, which made you think it was a well. I always called it a well. Glanced my hip. And then I was thinking, oh, ho, ho, I'm looking up. My husband was about that size. And he was, Anjali. And I was saying, oh, no, Vamakundam. It was what I was calling up anyway. And we didn't, I think. And then suddenly the lights went on in the mud because it was all dark, you know. I went in there because the deities, not the Murtis, I was attracted by the Murtis, and I ran in and I ran across this wood, you know, and of course it gave, and I went down and down and down. I didn't know, I thought it was so safe, and no. And then he came down, this young, old, really, well, I don't know how old he was, not that old. And he, little white loincloth and a turban, and he made a little pulley for me, and he pulled me up, all the way up to the top, 40 meters.
Wow.
And I got up, and I stepped out, and my husband came to give me, and I ran to say thank you to the Murtis, the big, what do they call it? See, it's gone out of my head now. Not deities, whatever, anyway. Big, life-size, Lord Shiv, Rama and Hanumanji. And I thanked them, you know. And then on the way down, I said, no, we won't go to Vrindavan, we're going to the Holy Dham, Navadvip. So we changed our tickets, and we went to Navadvip Dham, and that was my fortune of meeting, after Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah. And then you had some talk with Srila Maharaj. And
pardon?
And you
talk with him?
Yeah, and you
yes.
said that you had said that I was very that Swami Maharaj had left.
Yeah.
And he said you're already initiated or something.
I don't remember exactly, but he was very, very lovely to me, and I talked, if I'd have known his complete glory, I wouldn't have been able to open my mouth like with Prabhupada. I didn't say. And I was saying, oh, you know, I was thanking him for receiving me. He called me Anjali, you know, and I was just telling him everything of my adventures and how I got there, and he was listening, and then he kindly called, come forward. So I went forward, and he was showing me photographs of himself with Prabhupada and so many things, and I touched his hand, which I didn't mean to do, you know, because we were looking at photographs, and he was so sweet to me. And after I'd been talking to him, he said, well, you must, I can't remember exactly what I said. I was searching, I'm looking for, what am I looking for? I'm looking for my spiritual life, you know, so I can go home eventually, by the grace of the sadhu and these. And so he said, okay, he said, you must stay here with us. I told him I wanted to stay for 3 days and 3 nights, because I heard that was like, 3 days and 3 nights. I don't know about how, but and he said, you must stay here with me. He said, unfortunately, at this time, we have no facility for ladies, but there's a blue house. You can stay in the blue house next door. And he said, go and take prasadam, which we did, which was stick vegetables, rice,
excuse me, but your name was Angela, but he just
he called me
automatically
Anjali. Yeah.
Right.
He called me Anjali, yeah. And that seemed to stick then, for some reason. He called me Anjali. Yeah. And, yeah, it was all very extraordinary and unbelievable, And then we stayed there, and of course, the blue house was lovely. We had bed. The mosquito nets had holes this size. There was really little point in trying to tie them up, because you'd break more hole, another hole is appearing. So forget it. And the mattress cool. We had our own mattresses, actually. We carried them, sort of those rolled up things. And I remember I got under the sleeping bag, and you could hear the mosquitoes then lining up, bzzz, about 4 o'clock. Bzzz, ready for the attack, battalion, and then they went bzzz, and then and we were the receiving end. They would come with full force, There was no mosquito repellent in that time, none at all. No mosquito. So you had to grin, bear it, or try and I wasn't expecting that, because in the hotel we didn't have that problem. It was only in the, in the thick of it, then all the testings are coming. And I remember my first husband was sitting there with a copy of the Bhagavad Gita and he was taking them all night. I won't tell you the words he was using, because they were not Bengali or Sanskrit or anything like that. They were, you can imagine, this is going on all night. Anyway, he went in the morning, and of course the water, as you know, is brown. And I was drinking the water, I was so thirsty. And of course I was left with a little bit of difficulty, so I didn't go in the morning. And I had to take care of that one. Anyway, after 3 days and 3 nights, you understand, we decided to, unfortunately, I wish I had more savvy. I would have probably stayed and gone back, but I was just recovering from a tricky situation, and my husband was at the end of his tether with taking on a battalion of mosquitoes. So we left, but to come back, and we went on our way to Vrindavan, and then everywhere, we went back, and then we ended up in the Himalayas somewhere, I don't know. And then, of course, I never forgot that. And then all that time later, by Maharaj, by your grace, you said, we're going to India, you and Sukarma. And I said, I come, can I come? And we went to the same mutt. We went to the mutt of Guru Maharaj. And Gurudev, of course, was there, greeting us at the door. And I don't know, that was 1990, I think, was it, Maharaj? You and Sukarma. About 1990, I think. And then I then learned, who Srila Sridhar Maharaj was, and, So, yeah.
Can I ask, why did you consider taking initiation from Srila Prabhupada? In 1963?
I honestly, it would have come, but it was such a quick. I just wanted to be able to pay my dandavats, What did I know of initiation? I didn't know anything. I was just came out of the blue. I can't remember, but I took initiation finally from Gurudev, which I'm very happy about, because, So I was preparing for that,
Well, that was a very nice glorification. Got a few minutes now. Let me read a bit here, shall I? This is a very nice part. Gopa Kumar, he's gone up through the various planes of the universe, different planetary systems, and now he's come to the actually the covering of the universe, and he's going through that. Like the earth, water, fire, air, ether, these 5 coverings, each one is 10 times the width of the next one. So it's like thousands, it's a huge, yeah.
Maharaj, how many disciples do you think Swami Maharaj had?
Well, they said there was 10,000. In his lifetime, he personally did initiate, or when he was present anyway, even if it was through someone else when he was present.
Yeah.
That's
a tidal wave, wasn't it? A tidal wave he brought, and so many was swept into this ocean of beauty,
Yeah.
Just swimming, floundering sometimes, learning to swim.
So the Gopa Kumar, his guru, says, I'm just coming in here, because you are very dear to me, I've now given you everything I possess. We were saying that yesterday, right? About the blessing of the Vaishnava, transfer of consciousness and awakenment. By the power of this mantra, you will understand and attain everything on your own. So the power of the mantra he gave him, this Gopal mantra, by saying this mantra, he was, he was like ascending on the vibration from one plane to the next to the next. With great joy I fell at his feet, and then all at once he was gone. He had gone elsewhere unnoticed. I tried hard to calm my mind, which was pained by his departure, and I reverently began to chant my mantra as instructed. I then saw my body change into a form transcendental to the 5 material elements, and as I travelled upward, breaking through the sphere of the sun, I saw all the planetary systems. I saw that these planets, tainted by many faults, adorned with mere reflections of happiness, were but products of illusion, no better than what one sees in a flight of fancy or in a dream. The planets I had earlier attained, one by one, over a long period of time, I now crossed in the blink of an eye as if by the power of my mind alone. Next I reached the coverings of the universe. Each of them, more so than the one before, was rich with enjoyments and opulences millions of times greater than on Brahmalok. So even on the highest planet in the material world, Brahmalok, planet of Lord Brahma, these are more than that. Souls who have transcended the false attributes of created things and who aspire for gradual liberation strive also to go beyond the causative elements of creation, elements found again as false attributes in what is known as the subtle body. To do this, they enter the shell formed of each element. They enter in a body composed of that element and enjoy to their full desire the essence of the pleasure to be had there. So this is like every stop on the elevator going up. You can stop off, and there's so many things, it's all Maya, attractions of Maya. The first covering I entered was that of earth. There I saw the Supreme Lord in the form of a great boar being worshipped by the goddess Earth, the deity presiding over that covering and its wealth. She worshipped him with riches not to be obtained within the universe itself, while all the opulences of the universe whirled within every pore of his body. Within the goddess Earth, who embodies the subtle causes of creation, I saw the creation itself with all its ingredients. After she finished worshipping the Lord, the goddess honoured me as her guest and begged me to remain there to enjoy for a few days. Taking her leave, I quickly crossed beyond that covering, as if pulled by some force, and reached the other 6. One after another, I saw Lords Matsya, Surya, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshan and Vasudev, each with one of the great manifested deities of those coverings, worshipping him with the element over which that deity presided: water, fire, air, ether, ego or mahat. Each covering was the subtle cause of the one before it, and had a greater object of worship, a greater worshipper, and greater sense gratification, opulence and importance. As before, I crossed over each of these coverings and finally came to the covering made of primordial nature. So, each covering is greater than the one before it, so it includes all the qualities of the one before it, like it's earth and then water, fire, air, and it's including all of those, but with something more, something extra plus. And then the next one above contains all of that again, but something plus. In this way, the gradation. So more and more subtle. As before, I crossed over each of these coverings and finally came to the covering made of primordial nature. That's like the complete sum total of material elements. Pradhan. Composed of the most subtle form of ignorance, it was dark blue and attractive to the eyes and mind. Why was it attractive to the eyes and mind? Meaning my eyes and mind. Gopakumar. Tamaguna is that dark blue colour, but it reminded him of Krishna also, right? And then he's giving different references here from different shastras about this, the qualities of these different coverings and so forth. Seeing spread everywhere a colour like that of my worshipable Lord, I was very much delighted. I had no desire to go further. So that Prakriti region, the Maha Prakriti, it's like made of this sham colour. And it seemed to extend infinitely, because, that's the material infinite is also infinite, right? But of course it's a relative infinite, not the absolute infinite. So he felt satisfied, and at that point he didn't want to move on. As I arrived, the goddess Prakriti had just finished the worship of her Lord, the Lord of that region, the effulgent Sri Mohini Murti. The female incarnation of Krishna. The goddess at once approached me in her own superlative form. She offered me gifts such as Anima Siddhi. Means, Anima Siddhi means? 8 siddhis, aren't there? You can get. Anima means to be heavier than the heaviest, like heavy like a planet. And Lagima Siddhi means light. That's in TM, they do this so-called levitation. If it's true or not, I don't know, but that's a siddhi where you can, it's like you meditate on the space between the atoms, and then you can go up in levitation.
Maharaj, what are the other 7 cities?
Anima, Lagima, then there's, I forget now, there's to know exactly what's in the mind of others, to enter another's body. There's examples of this in the Shastra, like Shankaracharya, he did that. He entered somebody, who was it, but he sort of became them, to experience what their consciousness was and what there is such a thing, where even the soul can actually, it's given the opportunity to enter the life forms. Even someone wants to, why they would do that, we don't really know, and it's not recommended, but they want to experience what it's like to be a toad or a piece of grass, they can enter that and have that experience, such as it is. But these are all yoga siddhis, they're all mentioned in the 3rd chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. There's 4 chapters, and in the 3rd one it's Vibhuti Pad, it means these yoga siddhis. But then he also says, but actually, ultimately they're not helpful and not useful, and they're retarding one's ultimate progress towards liberation, whatever you conceive that to be. But they're there, and someone can spend time there. So the Prakriti, Mother Prakriti, she asked him to stay there. She sweetly told me, if you want to achieve your goal of liberation, then please be kind to me, because I am the bestower of liberation. Or if you want devotion to Vishnu, still you should be kind and worship me, the giver of devotion, for I am his maidservant, his sister, and the embodiment of his energy. Sri Gopakumar said, declining all these enticements, understanding them to be the potency of Lord Vishnu, I bowed down to the goddess and then wandered for a while to see that beautiful coloured region. That place was delightful and self-luminous, splendid with the most excellent wonders. So, you shouldn't think it was just like a blue cloud or something. There's lots of things in there, Right? Many living entities. Enjoying it were multitudes of living entities, their bodies made of primordial matter. It was inconceivable, utterly enchanting in opulence and displaying many forms all at once. The whole material creation dwelt within it, with all the elements of creation, subtle and gross. By the desire of the Lord, I then crossed beyond that vast region of dense ignorance and came to a place flooded with a light so brilliant, so unbearably beyond looking at, that it forced me to close my eyes. I mean, he's just a small boy, right? A coward boy, friend of Krishna, like very simple. That's coming out in different parts of the story that, he doesn't know philosophy or hasn't been trained, educated in these things, So he's gone outside. He's gone outside through the last covering of the material nature into the effulgence, the Brahma effulgence. With utmost devotion, I struggled to look ahead, and then I saw the Supreme Lord effulgent like millions of suns. So this is interesting. This is the first manifestation, personal manifestation of the Lord in the Brahmic effulgence, which is kind of like simultaneously personal and impersonal. It's very interesting. It says here, ever increasing the ecstasy of my mind and eyes, that all-powerful Lord, adorned with many ornaments and sweet features, and bearing all the signs of an exalted person, revealed himself as the most wondrous form of the supreme truth. Though always beyond material qualities, in spiritual qualities he's full. Though formless, he attracts all with his form. Though never directly connected with Prakriti, that infallible Lord appears resplendent in her association as she performs her pastimes under his shelter. A flood of reverence, fear and joy overwhelmed me. At that moment I simply didn't know what to do. That self-manifest Lord is beyond the scope of the senses, but one can see him directly by the power of his mercy. There is no other way. So that verse in Bhagavad Gita, Bahir Antas Chabutanam, is a Lord Krishna saying, it's in the 13th chapter, I'm Bahir Antas, I'm inside and outside, everyone, all living entities, Acharam Charam Eva Cha, and I'm not knowable by the senses because I'm beyond the realm of the senses. There's no way I can be known through any material means. Yeah. Could you get that Gita there, please? Anyone? But Srila is all right. Yeah, that's good. Didn't mean that. He's all right. See that now. Yeah. 13:16. Yeah. Bahirantas Chabutanam Acharam Charam Evacha Shukshmatva Tad Avigyayam because shukshma means very subtle. Because I'm so subtle, avigyayam, I'm unknowable. Durashtam chantike chatat. I'm very far away, the furthest away, and the closest also. Like that. Okay, so was having experience of this. I was unable to understand whether I was seeing him with my eyes, with my mind, or with the power of the soul that transcended both. Yeah, so you're thinking, is it something in my mind, I'm experiencing, or I'm actually directly seeing him with my eyes and senses. Although at one moment I saw him as formless, I remembered the mercy of the Lord of Niladri, that's Jagannath, Lord Jagannath, and at the next moment I saw him again in his personal form, vastly effulgent, and I was full of joy. Sometimes I'd begin to merge into the Lord's effulgence, but he mercifully saved me with the touch of the rays from the nails of his lotus feet. So he was afraid of merging and disappearing and losing himself, Sometimes my mind felt special pleasure in beholding him surrounded by the great perfected beings who were his devotees, at once different and non-different from him. They surrounded him in subtle spiritual forms, like beams of light around the sun. So they're surrounding him like this, and they're merging into him and coming out again, like this. Are they one? Are they different? Yeah.
Do you know when you merge into the Brahman and you become one with it, is there an expiry date? And how is that expiry date?
What do you mean? On the expiry date on what?
On being merged, and then you drop back down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then when you drop back down, and is it guaranteed in a human body, or what type of body?
This is a whole other question. But yeah, definitely there's an expiry date in that sense. It's not a permanent, eternal situation. Because the only ultimate eternal situation is when soul will go back to Godhead, isn't it? Ultimately. So, but it's so eons and eons and eons of time. It's practically eternal from the relative viewpoint. So not to be advised. The huge treasure of ecstasy I thus obtained inundated my mind. I became like a self-contented sage, or like a man whose ambitions have all been fulfilled. A flood of thoughts, supported by logic, made me conclude I had reached the supreme destination, the highest perfection of life. So he's in his mind, he's thinking, logically, well, compared to everything that I've experienced up to this point, this must be the ultimate thing, So, yet because of following the divine instructions of the great saintly devotee, and because of the strength of my service to the transcendental mantra, my hankering to see with my own eyes the lotus feet of my worshipable deity never fully disappeared. Right? So that's like Sukriti. So even though he's overwhelmed by the present experience and thinking, this is fantastic, I want to stay here, no need to go anywhere else, in this sort of unconscious region was still there, that only Krishna, it's only when I have to meet him, the go as a coward boy, Krishna, was still there. Rather, the more I looked at the effulgent Lord Mahakal, as he called Mahakal, the stronger rose my long-standing greed to see the object of my worship. The deity I worshipped, means Krishna, Krishna, seemed pulled by force onto the path of my remembrance. So this is, again, the result of Sukriti. Like in the Gita, Krishna says, when Arjuna asks, what happens if someone following the path of self-realization doesn't finish the course, falls down to whatever reason, what then? Are they lost? They've got completely lost any attraction for the material sphere, but they can't seem to progress spiritually. Will they perish like a riven cloud? But Krishna says, no, they don't worry. He says, if in that condition, when they die, they'll go to heavenly planets for a long time. And if they've done a lot of devotional service in previous life, then after that time in the heavens, when they come down, they will take birth in an aristocratic family or very pious family. And if they've done a lot of spiritual practice, really a lot, then they will take birth in a family of yogis or actual practitioners, direct practitioners. Either way, I asked Govinda Maharaj once, I said, if someone's born in a very aristocratic or wealthy family, how is that an advantage for devotional service? And he said, because they can utilise all those assets, in the service. Yeah, so even without, as Krishna says, even without seeking the spiritual path, it will find you. It will find that person. Because that's already there in their account. It's like a pressure pushing, So this is what happened to him. Even though he was very entranced by this situation, he was forcibly pulled forward. Because of that greed, even though I beheld the Supreme Lord right before me, I could not feel as satisfied as before. I was disturbed by the fear that I might merge into him, as was likely to happen in that abode. I was thinking that if I returned to this Brajabhumi, I would fulfill my desires. And then I heard some wonderful singing and music. Enlivened, looking all around, I saw someone riding on a bull, a unique person arriving from a higher region. 3-eyed, white like camphor, dressed only by the sky, means naked. That exquisitely beautiful person carried a trident and bore the half moon on his head, his matted locks brilliantly adorned by the Ganga. His body was smeared with ashes and graced by a charming garland of bones. So, the Brahman effulgence, and then the first stage of differentiation sort of thing is the Shiva Lok, and Lord Shiva in Kailash. Sitting on his lap, a woman of fair complexion affectionately served him. Divine regalia surrounded him, more heavenly than the riches of heaven. And many followers attended him, their attractive forms and conduct just befitting his service. So, as I said, being a simple cowboy, he had no idea who this was, Extraordinary person, obviously a very elevated person, but why is he naked? Why is he got this woman on his lap? It's like, and so many followers. He described him, come api, he says here in the verse, someone, just someone. And she's the lady, she's gory, golden complexion. But somehow, even though he was appearing like this, his paraphernalia seemed to be more opulent even than the demigods, which he'd seen before. Feeling the greatest surprise and delight, I thought, who is this, accompanied by such an entourage and appearing from above the abode of liberation? He looks more powerful than anyone in the material world, more excellent than all liberated souls. Yet he seems to violate the rules of civilized behavior, like a great sense gratifier. My mind was overcome by the weight of the supreme ecstasy I felt from seeing him. I bowed down to him and those who were with him, and he gave me a compassionate glance. Impelled by joy, I approached the leader of his companions, named Sri Nandishvara, and asked him in detail about this person and what he was doing. So like that, obviously he was too awed, to approach, Lord Shiva directly. So he asked Nandishvara, who is this person? Where is his residence? And where's he going? Where's he travelling to? Nandishvara laughed and said to me, "Oh, cowherd boy, devoted worshipper of Gopal, don't you recognize Lord Shiva, the Lord of the universe? He is the giver of material enjoyment and liberation, and he expands devotion to the personality of Godhead. He is worshipped even by the liberated and is dear to the Vaishnavas. Drawn by the devotion of his friend Kuvera, he he is travelling with his beloved Parvati and dear gentle companions to grace Mount Kailash with his presence. He came from his own planet, as transcendental as he, an abode reached through devotion by those who see him and Lord Krishna as non-different. Sri Gopakumar said, delighted to hear this, I was eager to obtain Lord Shiva's grace and fulfill a long-cherished desire. Lord Shiva, reading my thoughts, ordered Nandishvara with a knowing glance, and through Nandishvara's pure guidance the facts easily revealed themselves to me. So he was telepathically communicated from Lord Shiva to Nandishvara to explain what it is, what was going on, who he was, and so on. This Lord Shiva, I realise, is non-different from Madan Gopal, the deity I worship, the Lord more dear to me than life itself. Lord Shiva serves the cause of love for my Lord by promoting it everywhere. I happily entered among Lord Shiva's companions and was treated with affection by all his devotees. From Sri Nandishvara I heard these unique facts. The great Lord Shiva has one eternal transcendental form. Dwelling in his own abode, he is always visible to his exclusive worshippers, who are pleased to live there. With festivals of singing, dancing and so on, he always gives pleasure to his companions, as if to make them greedy for the Supreme Lord's devotional service, in which they see that he and Lord Vishnu are non-different. Although he is the Lord of the universe, he always lovingly worships his favourite form of the Supreme Lord, Shesh, he of 1,000 faces, as if a humble servant. Learning about this unique excellence of Shivalok, I felt exceedingly happy. Yet my heart, I knew, was not full. I couldn't discern the cause of that feeling. But by the mercy of my divine spiritual master, I'd received the transcendental mantra, and by the power of my service to the mantra, after some reflection, I quickly understood. I was disturbed because of forgetting the lotus feet of Sriman Madan Gopal and his pastimes and other attractive features. I told my mind that it is Lord Shiva himself who performs these wonderfully varied pastimes in the special form of Lord Gopal. But seeing my mind still unsettled, I told it, if you fail to perceive something in Lord Shiva, it must be the rare sweetness of Gopal's beauty and his other such qualities. Nonetheless, by Lord Shiva's mercy, your long-held desire will soon be fulfilled. By his special favour toward you, be assured this will be so. My mind was thus appeased, and I was happy to stay a while by the side of Lord Shiva, who for some reason chose to take rest before going on with his journey. And then just going to the next bit, it says, just then, my Lord, I heard from a distance the extremely sweet melodies of the singing of great souls. Hearing that sound, Lord Shiva was swept away in an ocean of great ecstasy. Under the spell of intense love of God, he began to dance alone. His most faithful wife, Devi, and his companions headed by Nandishvara added to the enthusiasm of their Lord by playing music, chanting the Supreme Lord's names and so on. Then, suddenly, I saw a group of attractive four-armed persons arrive, adorned with all the opulences of youth, charm, beauty and good fortune. That's the Vishnu Dutas, yeah? The Vishnu people from Vaikuntha. Their limbs so effulgent as to decorate their very ornaments and make the Shaivites seem invisible. Those four-armed persons were immersed in the blissful rust of singing in the sublime glories of their Lord. Are they going to? Are they waiting for me, or shall I carry on?
No, it's till 1:30.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, 1:30.
But we have to do the Guru Puja before.
Oh.
Let me see.
Okay. All their ornaments and accoutrements were beautiful beyond words, and in the company of those persons were the four brothers I'd seen before, led by Sanaka, the four Kumaras, right? So attracted was my mind by the spontaneous joy of seeing them that I was aware of nothing but them, internally or externally, not even things most dear to me. After a moment I came back to normal consciousness, but I couldn't bring myself to ask them to make me their servant. I felt too afraid and embarrassed to ask such an unlikely blessing, even silently within my mind.
5 minutes.
Simply by embracing them, Lord Shiva could suddenly go into a swoon of prema. And in my wretchedness, a certain longing troubled me. A longing that just once, by the mercy of Lord Shiva, these persons might somehow talk to me, or on some pretext might save me by the mercy of their sidelong glance. The goddess Uma, who always acts in accord with Lord Shiva's heart, understood what I was thinking. She then had Ganesha gently address me. Sri Ganesh said, "These are associates of the ruler of Vaikuntha, the Supreme Lord. They have attained bodily forms similar to his and have come here from Vaikuntha itself. Just see these other Vaikuntha companions of the Lord travelling in this small universe ruled by four-headed Brahma. And further away, those others moving swiftly in the universe of an 8-headed Brahma, a world twice as large. And those others in the world of a Brahma with 16 heads, a world twice as large again." So he gave him like cosmic vision, right, to see the different planes, and so all the universes with the different Brahmas, bigger and bigger and bigger. In this way, Ganesh showed me many Vaikuntha companions of the Lord travelling with ease in the millions and billions of universes, of multitudes of huge Brahmas, who had millions and billions of lotus faces. The Vaikuntha devotees, attractive to the eyes and mind, all had suitable bodies and were suitably equipped for the universes they were visiting. Sri Ganesh continued, "These persons cherish only devotional service to the Lord. They travel as they please, spreading pure devotion everywhere. They save the Lord's devotees from all fears, even at the time of death. If those devotees have but once had even a reflection of the Lord's name on the tip of their tongues or the path of their ears." Jai. Hare Krishna. Nectar. It's kind of like in the middle of the whole thing, so it goes on. So travelling with Lord Shiva there was Shanaka, yeah, and he's the 4 Kumaras, right? Shanaka, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar and Sanandana. And later on, in the other previous book, he had visited their planet where they live. And that's also very interesting. Tapalok, it's called Tapalok. So anyway, Hare Krishna, now we're going to do the Guru Puja. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, from here.
What page are you on? 520.
Oh, yeah, I was left hanging as well. I was left hanging as well in the middle of
Yeah, left hanging, yeah.
I'm like, what's
Hanging
next?
from the wall.
Yeah.
I was right
I can take...
sitting next to you, so I could say.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I didn't know whether that was good or not. So I stayed where I was.
I got given that book for Christmas.
Pardon?
I need to get it out the door.
Oh, you got it.
I got given it for Christmas
Oh.
because I love to read. So
Yeah?
but it's It's one of the rarest books I
everything?
have, so it's sat in a drawer. I'm reading
We
one.
have many nice books from
I'm reading
Guru Maharaj.
one called Vanity Karma at the moment. It's comparing Bhagavad Gita with the Jewish texts as well, you know.
The Kabbalah.
Yeah. And then how that Maharaj couldn't find the answers there, but found them in the Gita.
Yes. But I started with the Kabbalah.
He
The
was
Kabbalah
born in
came
Jewish.
to me. I was reading the Kabbalah, you know, and the Tree of Life, and I forgot it now.
Maybe
And
to
then
say,
Are we
from
ready?
there,
Are we ready?
I came here and forgot the Kabbalah. Oh my God! Did I hope they didn't hear that? Anyway, they don't know who it was. I don't want to. Yeah. I didn't know.
Do we sing Shri Guru Charana Padma for Swami Maharaj? Yeah?
I never used to feel like this, you know. And now after getting off, I feel, yeah.
Do we ring the gong for everybody? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hello. Ring the gong. What's the name? Is Rishika.
Yeah.
Oh, very good name.
Hare Jaya Sabarika Sisi Guru Goranga Sundarada Kiridari Juki Jai. Jaya Vibhav Mama Wotsav Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishwafarena Silesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai our first Guru, bringing Krishna consciousness to the West, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Go, Premanande.
Gaur Hari Bol.
Sri Nandotsava ki?
Jai.
Yo llevo esa, si quieres.
Yeah. Our birthday.
Yeah.
Today,
Yeah, I remember when we were kids, we used to sit on the front lawn of the manor and have a Sharda milk, but now it's too good. When that goes live, where does it go live? Right, thank you. Oh, it goes live on Facebook. I want you to teach me. Who taught you?
He was like super good. He gave us the mantras.
It's just the basics, isn't it? I used to do tabla. So it's very similar to that. But it's just doing it here instead of having the two middle ones with it.
Yeah, I came. Don't worry, everyone relax.
Yeah, you.
Jaya Shri
Jai Shri Prabhupada Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giriraj